Hello,
Three,
everyone.
two, one. And hello, guys. Welcome to Hot Pot Podcast. About half an hour later than we scheduled because of headphone issues from all three of us. But here we are, and we are here with a couple of really interesting guys. One, a dentist who is already familiar to all of you guys, been on the podcast twice, or the podcast once and Instagram Live once. That's
Regular.
Hannah and Imran.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're regular. We're regular.
and a new face is Dr. Shoaib Imtiaz, who is a bit of a social media mogul, I hear. How are you doing, man?
I'm well, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to kind of get
Very,
in
very
touch with
fun.
you all. Shall we dive quickly into Shoaib because we haven't really heard from you before? Just give a little overview of who you are and where you've got to in your career and how you've got into this kind of a space, and then we'll jump in with Hanan afterwards.
Sounds good. No, thanks for the warm introduction. So, yep, Sahib, otherwise known as Digital Doctor on social media. So my purpose is basically to talk about tech and health and where they fuse. So in terms of career, I'm a medical doctor. Did my F2. I got certified in lifestyle
Yeah.
medicine, which is nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, behavior change, quite new, quite up and coming. And then I've always been a tech enthusiast. So um, when I was 16, I came top 10 in the UK for computer science. And since then, I've been obsessed with technology. And I was between computer science and medicine at 18. But then I chose medicine because I love health. I love all things health. And it was a hard decision, but I chose medicine. Went to Manchester, had an offer from Cambridge, but I turned them down because I wanted a bit more flexibility, which the Manchester course suited my style. So, yeah, went to business school for a year, did a master in public health. I love everything where neuroscience, behavior change is with human performance, health optimization, and technology. So, um, in a nutshell, I want to be in Silicon Valley. So that's why I find myself in the tech space.
It sounds really cool. My brother's actually
Yeah.
final year right now,
Oh,
so
nice.
I don't know whether he's watching right now, but I'm sure he'll be like asking about finals. We're like, oh, can you ask that guy? Has he got some notes? All that kind of stuff. And a
Uh,
big warm hello to Saman who's watching. Evening Boys looking good is what he says. So
so man,
to
hey
all the
man.
guys. Hanan, we know about you. You were in my year in uni until I decided to take the long route through through
Yeah,
university. And currently working in
man.
private practice in London. How
Yep.
is the time between university and right up to now kind of molded you into the person that decided, oh, actually, we need to make an app, and this is the particular kind of app we're doing?
Yeah, it's actually funny, man. But you know what it is? The actual concept of Emily is, I would say, it's really evolved over the course of how many months now? Like, let's say it's November now, 11 months literally. It was started off as like an idea, and during the course of kind of the research into the product itself, and it's really evolved in so many ways. So I wouldn't say that we where it is now is where it was back in January 2020. It's changed a lot. Obviously, the main core product is still there. That we want to create an app for professionals, Muslim professionals specifically, mainly because we understand that community really
Yeah.
well. But like where the product is now, it's not really been like my brainchild. Like since I was a kid, it's just been something it's been developing over the many months.
Mm.
Um, but it was just mainly, I was actually, because Abe and I, we were both obviously age of 28, 29 soon. So Abe, so I was like, man, you gotta get married soon, man. Your mum wants you on your back right
Yeah,
now.
let's. She's probably
Obviously, like in
watching,
the
unfortunately.
Muslim
So I'm
community,
in
by the
trouble.
age of 30, you're like, yeah, if you're like 30 and you're unmarried in the Muslim community, you're like basically like 50 years old. There's no point
Mm.
in trying. So yeah, I was like getting on to his back, and I was like, man, you gotta settle down, man. Like you're a lot of things going for you. I don't know what you're waiting for. Just do it. So, but yeah, but I can't find anyone who's like minded, who's a professional, similar family background, things like that. So I was like, okay, cool. So anyway, during that time, I saw that same issue actually being very much described by many people within our network, not simply just like Sahib, actually people who I know personally, friends, family friends, people within my family as well, who were struggling to find people who were like them really, on an intellectual level and also on a kind of maybe social level as well. So I was like, okay, so what's stopping them? And so I looked into the kind of little bit of market research and saw that the current avenues to which people find partners is pretty restricted for Muslims specifically. Traditionally, obviously, Muslims are quite traditional in the way that they approach marriage and dating scene. So they would maybe go through rishta processes, basically a process where you involve family members who can find someone who knows someone, and basically through word of mouth, or maybe you go through find someone through a wedding or through some professional networking event. Now, obviously, people are using a lot more, I would say, dating apps like Muzmatch, Minder, or now it's called Salams,
Instagram,
Tinder, all these apps, but even Instagram sliding to the DMs, yeah. So, but even with all these platforms, there's always limitations with them. And so I did like a kind of a questionnaire and sent to maybe like 50 people within our network.
Yeah,
they was involved with that process too. And we got some really interesting feedback, and everyone's saying the same thing: is that people on these apps and these traditional methods of finding people through your friends or through your family is very restricted, limited pool of people. You can't trust these apps as when people are real. You can't trust what they say, who they say they are. They're not verified. A lot of issues with privacy. A lot of issues with maybe finding you match on a superficial level, like you may find them attractive, but past that point, it's very difficult to know more about them unless you meet them, and you might be wasting like weeks and weeks or even months and months to know that person and find out like later down the line they have like
3 others on the
I don't
go.
know, they're right, or they have like I don't know, like 5 husbands already or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
five. You're gonna be the fourth wife. I'm joking, but yeah. So those are kind of a lot of the issues which she identified, and they're all kind of resonating with us. So okay, fine. So there's basically these apps. There's an issue with them. Why isn't there been a new app for that? And I was like, okay, man, let's do something about it. Let's pitch something to our community, see what they think about it. And it was actually a really big hit.
Yeah, I can imagine,
So,
because
hey,
we know loads of people that are either looking and struggling or kind of on the verge of giving up, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
there's definitely a gap in the market. How do you know
yeah.
Shuaib, by the way? Oh, Sahib, sorry.
Yeah, so this is obviously I've known Sahib for like I would say maybe 7 years now at
Yeah,
least.
more than that.
Maybe
Yeah,
more than that. Maybe a decade.
a long
now.
time, a long time.
Long time. Yeah, but it's
Too
always
long.
been like on a very like long distance friendship. We would meet up like now and again.
Yeah.
But obviously Sahib's been in the space of tech and health tech and just basically tech related stuff for over 5 years now. So like he's very well connected, and the way that Sahib actually integrates with this product is actually the health related aspect to it. So when it comes to relationships, of course, I think so will be better if I can talk about this, but we saw that current mode of matchmaking or dating or whatever you want to describe it as is very superficial in the way that they approach that, and they don't take it seriously enough to understand the impacts it can have on your mental health, wellness on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah.
Like relationships are, and the partner you marry is going to be your most intimate. Why do we take that so lightly? So like even the other day I was speaking to someone and she was like, "Oh, I want to get married next year. I want to be settled down." I'm like, "Yo, like how do you can't predict that, right? You got to take your time. You got to make sure that the person's also like compatible on so many levels. Like how do you know that? Like, you can't just say I'm on Instagram, hey, I want to slide into this guy's DM, I'm ready to get married. It's not like that. You've got to really look into it. There's a lot of science behind true compatibility. So I was like, so hey man, this is where Sahib came into the picture, where he really looked into the science behind matchmaking and relationships and how it impacts your mental health, how it impacts your day-to-day tasks and your beliefs and your personality. So that's why we incorporated that aspect to it, where we literally we understand. We spent like months like researching the science behind matchmaking and relationships and how to optimize a relationship basically.
Yeah.
And that's how we're incorporating a lot of the stuff data that we're gathering on each user during the development of the app is based on knowing that these questions or these attributes or psychographics, as I would describe them, are really important when it comes to I would say wellness in the relationship or mental health long term as well. So that's what came in, and that's how we work really well. I'm kind of leading more the tech design aspect of things and the way
Yeah, should we defer to Sahib on
feel.
this area, because I think he's like the
Yeah,
guy
so I
with
think
the
able to talk about the
knowledge.
actual science side, so I'll talk about the tech stuff. Yeah, so if you just talk about
Yeah.
that, that'd be good.
Yeah, no. So what Hanan said, hey Jabir. So no, what Hanan said is exactly right. So one of the things Hanan picked up on more specifically was the design element and how existing apps were really the UX of them wasn't up to standard or something that was engaging. And Hanan has worked incredibly hard on producing something that looks so good.
Yeah, all the
and that
graphics
resonates so well with the community, right? Because that's where me and Hanan work really well together, because we both have a very similar mindset, and we agree on so many things, and we have fun together. And the kind of look we've gone for is more of a kind of a high level. It gives you an image of something which you want to be a part of, like a subscription type service that you're not embarrassed to be associated with. And a lot of that does come from the aesthetic. On the health side of things, when Hanan did propose the idea, I mean, obviously we're discussing it. So at the start, there's a few reservations in terms of, for me, in terms of, I'm in the health space, the married space isn't my thing. But for my reading in relationships, there's so much information and data on kind of longevity, mental health, happiness, and how close and the quality of your relationships and how close your relationships are, right? So when I looked at it from a lens of behavioral psychology, I actually understood that a lot of our decision making is impacted by the person we marry, right? So we want to try and optimize that relationship. We want to pick the right person. I know my friends, including Hanan, always joke about my kind of lack of decision making, and sometimes in terms of when it comes to choosing someone as a potential life partner. So it's always been a joke. I always joke that I'm married to Alexa, AI device. That's the only thing. And obviously, you meet people. There's so many nice people out there, but obviously, optionality means that it's sometimes hard to pick that one person, right? We can't go deeper on a deeper level. How do we kind of decipher who is right for us when there's so many people in the world, and why are we restricted to the geography where if I'm living? So I mean, I've moved around. I was born in Ireland, lived in London, now in Manchester. So why is it my current place I'm in determines who I get with, right? Who I marry long term? So a lot of different elements to kind of the decision making process of who you end up with, and ultimately I think it impacts your health. So I wanted to come at it from that angle, and with all the research we were doing, then we kind of came across kind of personality testing as something we wanted to incorporate, and that's what we're doing. So yeah, we've worked really well together. I would say we've been really lucky with the timing as well, because obviously Hanan, the time right now, I had a few DMs. When Hanan did say this, it was funny because I had a few DMs from a few friends I have, and they had said to me, "Sahib, you're pretty social. Can you connect us to some potential partners?" And that made me think that actually there is a market for this. There's something right now that is not suitable for the problem in the market. So I mean, that really helped us solidify our vision, and Hanan designed these kind of questionnaires that we sent out. And I would reiterate everything Hanan said. So that's where we were in the process. So it's been an interesting journey, and I've been excited because I love all things tech, and for me, it's been an avenue to express everything Silicon Valley at the moment.
Yeah. So when it comes to, like,
can you guys hear each other, by the way? Because I'm losing a bit of you guys.
I can hear
completely.
I can hear Hanan clearly.
Okay, let's just check from the audience. Can you make sure that you guys can hear us?
Check.
Yes or no, if you can hear us.
I can only see Hanan's video, by the way.
We should be okay.
Hanan, can you see both of us? I can only see you.
Yeah, I can see both of you. Yeah.
I can't see Jabir. That's why
maybe you clicked only me. That's why.
I can see everyone. The video seems okay. So I was just worried about the audio.
Okay, good.
Hopefully the guys can let us know. Saman's saying Hanan's a tiny bit fuzzy, which is why I asked. But yeah, no, we should be. Yeah, it's really interesting, and it's interesting to pick up on why we're restricted to location. Do you think that's one of the main problems we have? Almost in a way, there's too much choice, and now we can almost pick from everywhere. Is that making things easier or worse in your mind? And how are you going to adjust to this particular issue with the app?
Yeah, so I think having phone, like hundreds of people on your phone, fine, it gives the idea that you have options, right? But those options aren't actually realistic options long term. So when we looked at the kind of the science behind it, was you can either search for a partner which is kind of ideal for you, or you're looking for a relationship that's ideal for you. So what that basically means, so are you searching for someone who is more like trustworthy, someone who is matches on you on a intellectual level, matches with you romantically as well, on location wise and the way they look and stuff, or are you looking for someone who is passionate about the relationship and it's more important with the intimacy, things like that. So there's different type of things that you want to look for. And so I feel like a lot of apps, you're maybe searching for the ideal relationship rather than the ideal partner. And in terms of long-term marriage and long-term partner, success according to science is actually looking for the ideal partner. The ideal partner where you're looking at different aspects to the person, which is like how warm you feel about them, whether you trust them, whether there's a lot of energy between you two, whether you hit it off on a kind of aesthetic level, the person's job, their status within that job, their income, and the resources or kind of the things that they offer, apart from just simply who they are as an individual. So those things actually, in terms of a relation, in terms of a partner and marriage, are key. But I think I would say I'm not sure whether this is my observation is that maybe in the West we've been a lot more inclined to finding an ideal relationship where you're like all we care about is the passion in the relationship and all you care about is the intimacy rather than these other aspects. And maybe in the non-Western society the other aspects were more important, like status and family background. And I feel like in the West, Muslims specifically, we want to get the best of both worlds, and because of that we are so picky when it comes to finding someone who matches all those criteria. And you got to find a compromise somewhere or another, or you don't need to have a compromise. Have everyone on that same platform, and this is what we're offering, right? We're offering a platform where you can find both best of both worlds on one place. Where originally, like matchmaking, like Salam or whatever, Tinder, you weren't able to offer that. We're offering that, and then other avenues like going on matrimonial sites like eHarmony, or even through your aunties know someone else.
The aunties WhatsApp groups.
So many issues with that. Yeah, WhatsApp groups. Yeah, so that's the thing. That's what we offer. Kind of we identify what issues or limit issues there are with the current models of matchmaking, and we're basically targeting that and fixing that, and we're reinventing the whole model of matchmaking. That's our target. Basically, we're literally reinventing that whole process. Yeah, so it's been a pretty good journey, and like I say, it's actually been lucky. We've actually been blessed that the partnership that we have with this, we understand each other with our vision.
Yeah.
And of course, AMELI itself isn't. We have really exciting plans for the future with AMELI as a brand. It's not simply matchmaking. That's the core product right now because that's the product that we understand inside out now. The community that we know is the Muslim community really well. But in terms of like long term, we have such a big, wide-ranging vision. A lot of people who know us kind of about our product long term really like it because it's not simply just matchmaking within relationships. It's like within the Muslim community, it's actually a lot more. So yeah, it's been exciting. It's been good. We've been growing like our vision, and we've been lucky in kind of being in the right place at the right time and having the ideal co-founder with me to do that. It's been a pretty fun hobby, I would say, for the past 11 months, even though it's been so time consuming. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. In the psychology, you're talking about how it's difficult and people are looking for the perfect, passionate relationship or whatever. Do you think part of the issue is for Muslims, let's just categorize us in as Muslim community, because we have a couple of added confounding factors than maybe English people or non-Muslims have. We can't date, or we shouldn't be, like in the same way that non-Muslim couples can. Cohabitation is definitely off the books. At the same time, you're going through all this puberty, and there's maybe a lot of stigmatization from the community if you're involved with someone and it's not nikah done and weddings being planned.
Yeah.
Add into that, you're then looking, when you go and watch TV, all the relationships on TV are very idealized and passionate, and everything is up and then down and then up and then down, everything goes perfect. it's either it's the worst thing in the world, and then it's perfect, that kind of thing. And so it's very, very much not representative of a real marriage or a real relationship. And you don't really think about your parents in that sort of way, because you come into the picture maybe 10 years down the line, and it's difficult to understand what it was like before you're there.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good thing for you to answer, actually, because this is how we incorporated
Saliha.
relationship.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. That's the right tune. Yeah. So I think this would be deferred to Dr. Saliha, and that's why you raised a really good point there. Exactly what you're saying is something which is pretty prominent in society and the community. I mean, I know Hanan also mentioned a lot of these issues, and he was pretty good at this. And I was more from the kind of scientific angle with kind of relationships.
Yeah.
So that's why we had a good kind of holistic picture of how it works. But we needed, obviously, someone with kind of deep expertise as well. And that's why we brought on Dr. Saliha Afridi, who's a psychologist, clinical psychologist from America, and she's practicing in Dubai. So she has her own mental health clinic, the Lighthouse Arabia. And we've been using her content to try and educate the community we're forming on a lot of these issues. She talks about relationship expectations versus cultural norms versus, how one should kind of compromise in a relationship, or what someone should look for. And I think that's where we're really different to existing apps. We're almost trying to make people think about relationships as well as who they're finding. Because traditionally, you're only looking at, okay, I'm finding, person A or person B, and equally it could be person C, right? You're making a snapshot decision. But no one really thinks about, okay, even if you find the right person, you have to make that relationship work. So when you do go through this change of, having someone who becomes a big part of your life, I mean, even if you look from a time concept, I mean, my previous startup I was working in we were all about time management, right? A lot of your time will be outsourced to your partner. You'll be spending so much more time with that person. So you need to understand how relationships work, how you can manage expectations in relationships. And that's why Saliha, she's a superstar.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. She's really incredibly resonating with the community. We did a live with her last week,
Monday.
And people, the response,
huge, amazing.
Response was overwhelming. Overwhelming. So that's how we're trying to solve that issue. And Jubair, you raised a very good point there.
It's actually so funny. I was like, this is the perfect answer. Just Saliha, it's like Dave says, it's like fine, we're kind of creating from Muslims and maybe who want a specific life partner in terms of family background or whatever, or location and the way they look, but we're not looking at it from just that aspect. We're looking at it from a completely different aspect of how to manage your expectations in a relationship, right? And we become kind of disillusioned by how a relationship is going to be based on what we see on the TV or Netflix or whatever, right? Amazon Prime. I'm not
Disney Plus, bro. That's where it's at.
Whatever. But
Hanan is scared posts. Hanan always puts disclaimers with any brands.
Almost collaborating with like Supreme and stuff like that. No collaborations at all. So we're so disillusioned by that, and because of that, our expectations may be here, but realistically, there should be maybe there in a relationship, and there should be a compromise. And trying to find that balance is, you need education, and we've been so said the wrong thing for so many years, unfortunately, because it's what life's about, right? These shows to make people dream, but life isn't a dream, right? It's hard work. It requires sacrifice. It requires compromise. So that's where Dr. Saliha really is allowing us to educate the community that we're building on a day-to-day basis. And she's resonated with so many people as well, because obviously by the age of like 28, 29, you've had some sort of relationship, whether that be kind of maybe about to get married to someone, or you got married to them and it maybe didn't work out after a year, whatever. But they all require some sort of kind of meditation or help or psychological help afterwards, because you need to you grow from that, right? And sometimes you need that professional help, and that's what she offers. She's offering a free professional help to the community, which is really hard to find. And she's so good at speaking and eloquent about everything, and resonates so well with the community that we're very blessed to have her on board. And it's been, again, because of Habe's connections within that space and his credibility as a doctor himself has been allowed us to really combine the best of so many things into this app.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how well it works when you end up launching, because I know you don't even have a workable app that people who use a phone would understand it as an app right now. You know, you're still in the design element stage and coding stage, aren't you?
Yeah, hopefully, inshallah, we'll be launching, but the design element is actually something which I'm actually really excited about. I'm not so much excited about the psychology. But
that's the bit I like.
interesting.
I read books on small books,
nice.
not big books,
Cognitive
very
neuroscience.
small books on psychology.
We should talk,
Jabil. Yeah. But the design, that's what I'm really like intrigued about, and that's what I think is going to be the biggest selling point to the people who haven't joined so far, because we've just sold a concept right to them, and we give advice, and we show that we have a proof of concept that works, that is a kind of engaging with the community. We haven't really showed them the design, and honestly, that is going to be the biggest thing. I feel it's going to really engage with so many people.
And that's why the hashtag you picked, Hanan, is reinventing matchmaking, because we're trying to change that process. Because even like at the moment, there's Jabir, I'm sure you'll agree, there is a bit of you could say from a behavioral standpoint, people are a bit embarrassed to admit they're on an app, right? I mean, I use apps for everything, but I've never been in a dating app. I've never been in a matchmaking app. So there is an element of that in our community, and how me and Hanan are trying to design it is trying to make it not shy off, because they're trying to increase that serendipity of meeting the right person. And with COVID, we've really seen how, I mean, traditionally, and at the moment, the stats say that 40% of people are meeting online, and that's just going to increase. And in the last 9 months, I mean, I bet you can name how many people you've actually met or new people you've come across. It's all been virtual.
Yeah, a couple of 100,000 probably for me.
Exactly. So that's something that has to change. And the element of, okay, physical interaction is one thing, and that's the norm we're used to. But in this new kind of digital revolution, in this technologically derived age, we have to be willing to put ourselves out there online. And I know you're a fan of Ali Abdaal, so am I. He tells everyone to be online. And I think that's relevant with every aspect of your life. If you're not online, you're not that relevant right now. People find you if you're online. And I kind of stand by that. And that's really kind of struck me.
Yeah.
But obviously what Hanan has also put in, which is a very interesting point, is apart from the design, he's also very emphasized privacy always. From the start, one of the kind of things he picked up on was, we need to make this as secure as possible. We need to make sure like we use the data safely and securely. There's privacy for the users. He wants to provide a premium experience, which I'm completely on board
so it's
with.
not going to be
So
ending
it's that
up in the
combination
hands of the CIA or anyone
I
else.
won't be telling you when to pray Fajr.
I'm now questioning every time that app's told me something like, was it 5 minutes early? And I prayed at the wrong time. Who knows?
I think that's actually true, because the interesting fact so far is we're currently verifying a lot of the users that have joined, and from the kind of the data that we've gathered so far, that 80% of the sign-ups have been women so far. Men will join them regardless. That's how men work. But at the moment, we've developed or created a sense of going to be true, which is true, is that it's a safe platform for women to join who maybe traditionally wouldn't be wanting to join these apps, right? And that's a shift in behavior which we want to make sure that people adopt and are comfortable with doing, because at the end of the day, if there aren't users on there, there'll be no app realistically. Traditionally, these apps like Minder, Muzmatch, whatever, majority of them have been statistically men, and we've flipped that upside down completely. Mainly because we've highlighted the issues that there are with these apps and why we're different, and how we're gonna incorporate privacy and the user privacy first, incorporating verification, incorporating end-to-end encryption with video call, voice call, messaging, everything. And obviously we're incorporating an exclusive feel to the app. Not so much that we're people from not joining, but more so we're keeping the community vetted to such that they're like-minded, because that's what usually people who have this mindset want to find. So yeah, that's why it's been a really kind of promoting kind of a new way of finding a life partner, and that's what we're going to be doing hopefully with Emily.
Yeah, a couple of comments here. Mars Sadiq says, "Such handsome young men. Are any of you single, please?" And then Saman Khalid is saying, "Are you single, Mars? Hit me up." Saman's also saying that he likes Shuaib, very well spoken. Not sure about the other guy.
Thank you. Is he your friend?
Mars is my cousin. Saman is like
friend?
another one of the boys from Newcastle. So,
So one of Hanan's
His
Newcastle life.
yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, I'll be honest, I've been on some of the other apps previously, what's it called?
Okay.
Salam or Minda, whatever you want to call it. And then
Mm.
Muzzmatch. And I told you about this last night, Hanan, when we were in a quick chat. Part of the problem was half of the profiles on there has absolutely no information and blurred photos. So you're going, well, there's nothing for me to evaluate here. I'm not gonna, say yes to something that I have no evaluation of. And then when you do, and then it turns out to be not what you're after.
Tell everyone this. Keep saying it.
It's so deep trying to say no to people when you've actually swiped right on no information, and now you're in the situation of trying to bin them off by the nicest way possible, or ghosting, or whatever it is. So hopefully the way that you guys are going to do it, where you've done some of the heavy lifting of the basic compatibility first, then you can step into the next step a bit easier without having to have feel like a bit of a bad guy from our point.
That's the thing. This is where the design is really important. Where if like how long do you use that for? Like maybe a week, and you got to put off by it, right? Because you just see the flaws.
It's just window shopping after that.
It gathers. Yeah, it was just. Okay. It's just basically this is not a good interface to use, and it doesn't target what you want to target. It doesn't look into stuff that is important when it comes to marriage, and so many things are wrong with it. And this the way we've designed here and collaborated with to design it. Been lucky with that team too. They really understand. We went through so many teams actually to get to the final team that we basically hired to help design our vision really.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really understand it. It's been been a really fun journey so far. And what we're trying to basically do is do all the hard work for you, so you don't have to do all the whole awkward questions like, hey, what are your life plans, what are your interests, what's your family background, how old you are, like all these boring questions, which are really sometimes can be quite intense.
Yeah.
We don't ask any of that. That's all being asked for you. So all you see on the profile will actually be something that you can interact with, something which you can interact with organically, something which you can start a conversation which is not related to the stuff that you want to know, because that stuff is already, that the person that you see in front of you is what you want. And what you just find out now is whether you get along with them on a social level and romantic level. So the way we've designed that as well is really cool. With this completely new way of looking at things.
And I think we've been helped by the fact that we were building. We've actually engaged with our
feedback.
Yeah, continuously. So we've been publicly quite open since about May, right? We were asking a lot of questions. People weren't quite sure what we were working on.
Yeah.
But building in public is 100%, because the users you're going to be with, they're ultimately the people who have to like your product. You can be the smartest people, or you can have the best idea, but you always have blind sides, right? And we've tried to ensure that every decision we've made has been kind of with our potential users. So that's really informed this whole process. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And Saman is saying, Hanan's making some really good points here, spot on with the issues of current apps. I think he's a veteran of a few of the apps himself, unfortunately. There you go. If you troll my guess, you'll get some trolling back, guys, in the comments. Yeah. I've actually forgotten what I was going to ask next. But what do you think people are doing wrong, actually, in the current way things are going? Because, back in the day, it was a very much more in your geographical location. Your parents maybe have some contacts, or a friend's got some contacts and said, oh, so and so might be a good match for you, and then you go through all these different meetings. what are the issues with doing it that way that you guys are kind of trying to address here as well?
So you know, answer that, I don't mind. It's up to you.
I think, Hanan, you can answer that, but I'll give a bit of a. So
Yeah.
I have never been part of the kind of traditional matchmaking, I guess, experience. I've heard from friends it can be quite intimidating at times. It can be awkward. At times, people are forced into the situation. It'd be kind of wrong of me to kind of give my opinion without having formally been through such a process. However, yeah, what you're saying, obviously in Central Asian, South Asian, Middle Eastern cultures, it's a big part of the social fabric of, it's kind of like a reference system. When you apply for a job, people give you references, right? So you can say families almost act as references, and that's why people just stay within their networks, right?
Yeah.
And I think diversity is an amazing thing. So if you always stay within your network, you're never going to kind of branch out or have, meet new people. It'll just be very same for generations. I think we live in a world now where diversity is very kind of promoted, and even with if things like innovations only happen when you have people working across different disciplines. Otherwise, innovation will never happen. You'll just repeat the same processes over and over again, and you will re-engineer them.
Prime
to
example,
an extent,
man. So hey,
right?
you're a doctor. I'm a dentist. How are we doing this?
Dentist.
Yeah,
Exactly, right. Yeah. So by having so traditional matchmaking, it'll just be so, Hanan's family, my family, we know.
But you chat to a guys actually, so there's an issue there. You can't do that.
Yeah, you guys are. But with modern matchmaking, I think people have to be a bit more open-minded and see who the right person is, rather than just going off certain demographic details, for example. But finding that community can be hard. Obviously, humans are different. And humans have different, contextual situations and upbringings, and it can be hard to filter through the different people to find people who are similar to you. So you don't want people who are exactly people right, from only family, but you want to find those similar people who may exist outside your bubble or your sphere, and that's essentially what Emily is enabling people to do.
Yeah. Do you think there's been any pushback from, the parental generations that you've seen?
Man, they're desperate as hell for their kids to get married.
They'll do anything right now.
I'm not even joking. You know what it is? I think COVID has really normalized this approach to matchmaking, on the matrimonial side of things. Because how in the world are you going to find someone in the middle of a pandemic if you're not? There's no social gatherings, there's no networking platforms, there's no meetups. And
what you do is you go on Instagram Live every day.
So you have to. Yeah, or you go on Instagram, or you just basically post on your story and then get people to DM you, which is silly, right? So you have to. So these kind of apps currently are the kind of the first method or first avenue which people will explore.
Right.
So maybe you're frozen. Is he frozen?
I don't know if he's just smiling or he's frozen. We'll continue and we'll try and get him back.
That's fine. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So what was I saying? So it's become the norm, and we've been lucky with that our launch of this product has been at a time where this avenue is the first avenue that someone goes down. But yeah, back to your original question regarding how traditionally you would kind of go through your auntie, someone, all that stuff. How we're targeting that. Ultimately, the biggest thing is that people who find that most uncomfortable is usually, unfortunately, the woman, mainly because they are at a position where they are felt or presented to the opposing family, or not opposing, the family that you potentially could be marrying into, as a commodity rather than a human being. And fine, yes, some societies it's acceptable, but in the Western society, and people who are usually professional have a bit more of a progressive mindset. Okay, a bit of a progressive mindset with Emily. Fine, may not cater to those traditional mindsets or those traditional avenues of matchmaking, who may be comfortable with that. But we're not here to please everyone. We're here to promote inclusivity, promote everyone feeling safe and secure during their journey of finding a life partner, right? Myself, I feel like I'm a pretty progressive individual when it comes to a culture and religion. So I've really pushed back on really kind of traditional way of incorporate traditional norms within this app, which other apps have incorporated.
What kind of things are those?
Mainly because
that you've
the main thing is actually not really someone else can a third person view the conversation, right? So which fine, yeah, Islamically, if you're getting to know someone, having someone in and around the vicinity is useful.
Yeah, but you can just show your phone, right? You really need to.
But yeah, that's true. But realistically, we are not big brothers. We're not here to be a watchdog. We're not here to judge people. We're not here to control that in the intention of an individual. That's today. But what we are here to make sure we create a community that is verified, that is trustworthy, that is like-minded, that have the right intentions for marriage, which other platforms don't have, unfortunately. A lot of people hire just a time pass.
Yeah.
So we feel like the community that we're developing and creating really want something like that. And hopefully if there are people who, I'm sure there's always going to be someone in the kind of bad apple within a bunch, we can kick those people out quite
quickly. Yeah. So I think it's more selecting first for the correct people will mean that you don't need to be you know, there with a cricket bat at people's door and knock them out and stuff, you know, get them off the app, whatever, you know, the digital way of doing that is. Yeah, I think it makes sense. And I think you're right in the, you know, how we were talking about girls feeling like a commodity. Sometimes a guy can feel that way as well, I think, in the old way of doing things, because they're very much looking for, oh, he's a doctor and a dentist. Okay. And I've heard girls in uni who were Asian saying, I can't wait till I get married and stop working. Something like that is almost terrifying to guys who are thinking, well, I'm going to have a life partner, you know, we'll go through it together. I'll do a bit, they'll do a bit, you know, maybe when kids come, one of us steps back and looks after the kids. But if someone's planning and going straight away, all right, as soon as that ring is on the finger, the degree is out the window. Like, what is that?
Yeah, but the thing is, me personally, I don't feel like I'm here to judge someone's vision or their goals and what they want to do when it comes to marriage. What we're trying to do is make sure that the expectations we understand. Well, the whole point of having that relationship wellness and mental approach to the side of things is that we match people, but after you match with them, how are you going to maintain that relationship? How are you going to maintain a successful relationship, right? Because that's why we're incorporating the different aspect of Saliha's daily videos or weekly videos onto the app and stuff. So, or even one-to-one therapy sessions. So these are the things which I believe are very important when it comes to marriage. You can't just simply say, yeah, fine, you matched, therefore it's going to be perfect the rest of your life. It's never going to be perfect, no matter how well you are compatible on paper and also via our algorithm. So it's important to understand that the expectations of a woman or a man must be more or less similar in order for it to be successful long term. And you got to find compromise. You got to communicate. You got to understand what your love styles are, your love languages are, your personality traits are. These all things which we're incorporating into the app, so the person's fully aware of how the individual is going to be. So when they go into the marriage, they have an expectation and understanding how emotionally intelligent they may be. So then long term, it will be successful. That's the aim, right? So if someone doesn't want to work, fine.
It's that thing though. Everyone coming from the same point of view at the start, and you know, you don't want things to be blindsided by things like that. What's happened to Shoaib, by the way? Because his grinning face is just stuck on screen. I don't know if you can see that. He's just like this.
No, I think his phone probably died. He always forgets to charge his phone, but it's fine. Also, he doesn't have meetings with Clubhouse in the next 20 minutes, I think. So he might just pop up anyway. So it's fine. Good.
Love languages. What can you tell us about the love language? These are all the things that we were going to ask Shoaib a little bit, but
no, it's fine. Like Sohaib's done all the background research behind it. But I've been creating kind of the content on the social media page, so I can just bring that up now to reel that out with words. But basically, at the end of the day, when it comes to love languages, it's basically a way that you express and also feel loved. That could be through, let me see, the different ways. It could be through gifts. It could be through words of affirmation. It could be through acts of service. It could be through intimacy. What's the other thing? And all other things, quality time, basically. So if you understand someone's love language and they understand your love language, then you could see whether there's compatibility in that. It doesn't mean it to be the same. It
No,
just
it
means that
means you
you
need to
understand
do the right thing with the other person.
or you need to try to do that.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to be able to fully do everything that the person wants, right? Because someone's expectations may be here, but realistically they should kind of be a bit less kind of demanding in those aspects. But by having that awareness from the very start, it can really harmonize that relationship. So all these things which I feel are very, or definitely are overlooked in traditional approach to matchmaking, we're incorporating and making sure that whatever we can do to make sure the relationship is healthy and can be maintained in that way. And if you do have bad days, everyone will have bad days. We have to educate those users, those couples, inshallah, going forward, of how to
manage it,
to obviously fight that, manage it exactly. So yeah, these like love languages, for example, love styles, other thing, emotional intelligence. The other day we posted one about emotional intelligence and how just if someone is of low emotional intelligence and you're of high emotional intelligence, that's completely fine, because you will basically find a balance between the two. But if both of you are low in your ability to have emotional intelligence, that will risk actual disharmony and issues within the relationship. So, and if you both have a really high level of emotional intelligence, that can also cause some issues, because both of you are trying to fight for like being be better or be in control. Or managing emotions or managing conflicts within a relationship. So trying to find that balance and trying to understand that the person's, obviously, emotional intelligence is also important. Obviously, the product itself that we're launching next month isn't going to be the perfect product. We're not saying it's going to be.
Are you going to somehow evaluate people in a way to find out what they are? Because I don't think anyone walks around and goes, "Oh yeah, I'm this or that." I mean, maybe some really, really extra people are on that level where they say this is my XYZ. The only thing that I think springs to my mind is I feel generally uncomfortable when people compliment me. But I don't know if that would be different from a spouse, someone you're involved with. I don't know if that would be different, but generally I would feel uncomfortable.
So this is where Sahib is missing, but basically we're incorporating a really, really good personality test with a really good team who we've been blessed to be working with. We did, honestly, the amount of research and amount of emails we sent across, meetings we had to finalize this test has been crazy, but finally we got there, and it's really useful because it allows us to really allows the user, or us actually, to understand how to present the person's personality on the profile. And then when someone likes someone, another individual, they'll see the different aspects in which they're strong in, or maybe not so strong in, and see whether that can something which it doesn't have to be technically, because personality is something which always evolves, right? Just because this snapshot image, they may be low on a certain personality trait, doesn't mean in 2 years' time they may grow and develop, because everyone grows and develop over time, right? So this test will be just an insight into that individual. But the way we're going to be really is how we're going to be incorporating that into the algorithm later on, into version 2 and 3 into the app, where I can't tell you the full just of it, because we have some competitors out there who may be listening, but we'll basically be incorporating that aspect into the matching algorithm to optimize the relationship as well. So yeah, it's the product that we launch next month will be a good product. Have the core features we want to incorporate, but the long-term vision of the app is going to be something which is really exciting, and we can't wait to launch and share it to the world, really.
Do we have a date in mind, or is it a bit up in the air still?
Yeah, it was 12th of December was the original date, but looking at the design team and how we're kind of, because basically we want to launch a product that is good, right? We're hyping it, like reinventing the whole matchmaking sphere. We believe we want to make sure the product is right. So I'm happy to, and Seb is happy to delay that for a couple more weeks.
Also on the 12th of December, I think Chimaev's fighting in the in the UFC, so that's not a good day for me.
Fine.
It's the new Khabib, so that's like a really bad. He's a
Okay,
monster.
fine.
Very much
play
off
I'll
topic, but yeah, he's an
yeah.
interesting character. You should get on the app as well. I reckon that guy. He should be your new ambassador. You should DM him to get him to be your new ambassador, bro.
I'm not big enough on social media, man. I have like 40K followers. I have like a 400. So, but yeah. So it's we have a preliminary launch date for mid-December, but we're happy to until we are
That's
happy
right.
with the product that is really, really usable. Because if the initial launch is a crappy product, which it won't be, inshallah, then it's just Fire Festival 2.0. We've hyped this up people who from all over the world who really kind of excited for the product, and then we're like, oh hey, here's the product. It's not as what we say it is, but it will be. We trust the team. We have a lot of time in research and development side of things, but we aim for the end of the year basically.
Yeah, I mean, these things take as long as they take, so I wouldn't rush it if I were you. You know, the longer the hype goes, the better. You know, sometimes people are hyping things for 2 years, like the Cybertruck, which
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, but then we're not. So
2 years is a bit long. Yeah,
yeah. No, but the product thing is the hard work has been done.
yeah,
Now is the easy bit is actually implementing what we have in our heads and what we have on paper onto the code.
yeah.
Right. That's too difficult. The planning was the most important part. Like anything in the industry as well, but I'm sure you would agree. It's the planning
I'm a
stage which is
YouTuber,
the
by the way,
hardest
so
part.
I don't know.
I'm fine. Yeah. The YouTube, yeah, even people who
Yeah,
yeah. So that's the most important part. The execution isn't the most difficult in my personal opinion. So yeah.
yeah. No, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it comes out and how it's going to change the landscape in which people are meeting. What was the question I was going to ask? It was more towards like, what do you think the main areas are going to be where you need to kind of strengthen up in the future on the app, or is it just you're going to see what happens as time goes on, and then make the changes as and when?
Yeah. The way we've been able to, like Zaib said, is we're growing with the community. And where we started, I said earlier in the show, is where we started back in Jan 2020 to where we are now has changed a lot because we're learning from what the community wants and what their needs are. And so that process is going to be ongoing throughout this journey that we have until 2021, 2022 onwards. So this is why it's important that we still engage with that community. We reply to all our DMs. We always engage with everyone's responses and
Yeah.
emails and stuff. So just we believe that's the best way to really, first of all, get the product out there and they'll trust us because we're not just some two random guys in England who are saying this is what's going to happen. We actually genuinely believe in our product and we genuinely on that so far. So engaging with that community is important. So it's going to be an ever evolving product. We're excited about this, and it's been really fun journey for both of us.
What are some of the things? What are some of the things people have been flagging up as, must-haves for the app? Some of the common complaints that the community has given you.
It's been mainly the privacy element actually, which I stressed on the strat anyway.
Yeah.
But it's been proven that privacy has been the most important thing for many users, mainly the female community, which I always feel the most. Other unfortunately in the Muslim community,
get the hard end of the bargain.
Get the hard end of the stick. Yeah, exactly. So especially when it comes to matchmaking and marriage. So if we really engage with that community and understand what their issues are and what their needs are and their pain points are, then we've got a product that is going to be successful regardless.
What was it about the privacy in previous apps that was a real issue?
This is why people blurred their photos. Number one,
right?
Why did they blur the photos? Because we don't know who's actually on these platforms, or whether the person that they upload the photos of is actually the person behind the camera and behind that phone. Number one. And secondly, you can start through hundreds of profiles, so hundreds of random people, and who you don't want to see who you are, and don't want to see your life story, don't want to see what you look like, don't want to see your intention for marriage, don't want to see that you're on this app, right? So by creating a community that is vetted or verified with the type of people that you want to potentially be with, people will be a lot more open to sharing the photos, and that's what we want to be doing. Actually, there'll be no option of blurring your photos. Actually, they'll be open to a way that the person's you can see the whole life story basically, but to a point where only the necessary stuff is kind of shown. Yeah.
So kind of with these other apps, anyone can download it, and that is the main difference. Yeah, you can download this app, but you ain't getting on unless you're on a level.
Yeah, basically, you meet the criteria of a professional or creative, or someone who's an established business, or someone who's about to graduate, or who has a postgraduate degree, and Muslim. But we can't really verify the Muslim part, but we can, to a certain extent, we can.
Yeah.
But we have to judge the level of practice. But that what we will be incorporating is identifying how practicing subjectively the person may be, by self-declaring that aspect to it.
Yeah. Are you going to be looking at culture versus religiosity? Because there's some people I know who are very cultural but not religious at all, and I'm probably on the very other end of the spectrum, where our family is very religious, but the culturality of the family is very, very much lower. Yes, we have some things, we'll eat salan or rice and stuff like that, but other, maybe Pakistani and Indian holidays and festivals and all these sorts of things, we're just not involved in that side of the community at all. And then if you marry into some family that can maybe cause some issues. Is that something you're looking at as well?
Yes. So during your profile input, answering some questions about your family background, your lifestyle preferences, answering questions about your hobbies and interests, pretty in depth actually, hobbies and interests. You're asking about your opinions on cultural norms and the gender roles as well. So some men traditionally maybe have a traditional viewpoint on gender roles within a marriage. Some women maybe have more progressive viewpoints, and if there's a mismatch between that's huge. It's going to cause huge.
It's game over from the start.
This harmony within the relationship, right? So that's a major thing which will wait during the weighting of the algorithm. We've weighted that quite heavily. And even with the political viewpoints, obviously, I'm a very left-wing, progressive voter and viewpoints in many aspects of my life.
Do you know what's strange? This whole, because I've been thinking about this recently, because I spoke to a doctor last week on Sunday, and I kind of started thinking about this after the podcast we did. I was like, I'm probably socialist, but not liberal, if that makes sense. All the socialist policies, yes, free healthcare, free Wi-Fi, free nationalized rail, nationalized energy, all these things. But then on the social level, I'm probably very conservative, as opposed to being liberal, where anything goes and you can do all the things that you want. And there's not really a place that or a political party that like embodies that at all, is there? You're in this weird limbo.
So, I think politics and domestic policies and domestic values and societal values is very different from your individual values. But by displaying those or having that as a preference when you're searching for something is key.
Yeah.
To me personally, for example, I'm pretty liberal in my I'd say Islamic viewpoints, but that also translates to my political viewpoints too. And realistically, if someone has if they're conservative religiously, I don't mind. But if they're conservative in terms of politics and the way they view society, the way they view the fiscal policy, the way they view healthcare policies, things like that, it would be really a big mismatch for me. So having all these little things in there, understanding that, and being able to kind of really filter out those things.
Yeah, then you can just
is
chat
kind of
and like,
key
do
to-
you like their
exactly
vibe?
so all that hard work,
Yeah.
all the hard work that you want to find out when you're talking to them, that's out the window. So all you need to do after that is that whether you vibe, whether you're chill, whether they're easygoing, whether they
Do they like
you
Nando's?
or
Are they a Liverpool
like
fan?
Nando's.
Is there red flags where you like Liverpool fan? Go on.
Red flags. No, we haven't.
Can you
put
add
that
that
yet, but we will
one?
put red
Can you
flags.
add that one?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, Liverpool.
nothing else.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just you know, is being a Liverpool fan a red flag? And just yes or no. Just have that in there, like, and everyone be like, why is that there?
Yeah, it's like it's for Jabir, man. It's for Jabir. It's my brother. Yeah, no. That'll be quite funny. Yeah, no, we want to incorporate obviously like organic conversation based between users. And if they are, the way we're going to be doing that is when you look at the profile, you can engage with that particular post about them, or image, or video, or quote they like, or something they answer relative to answer. Sorry, something they answer to a question that we ask about them.
Yeah.
So that stimulate fun, easygoing conversations, because not everyone can do that. Because when you're like, not everyone's gonna match someone and have the most amazing chat up line. Most people aren't like that. Like, I'm definitely not like that. I'm sure maybe you are, I don't know, but I'm definitely not like that. So I need someone to help find some icebreaker, and we're going to be promoting a lot of icebreakers within the app to really avoid any anxiety associated with using the app.
Yeah.
Why is Instagram and Facebook so easy to use, right? Because you can interact with everything.
Yeah.
Same thing. So you'll be able to interact with everything when it comes to the user interface.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very good because, for example, as people are maybe starting to realize, and this wasn't something that I was always able to do, I can speak to anyone for hours on end, even if I have, you know, less interest than maybe I'll put out outwardly. And if all these other things are ticked off and out of the way, then you can relax and say, okay, actually, this is maybe going to go somewhere. Whereas beforehand, you do all that, and then you have to find a way to say no somehow.
Yeah. So we hope that the whole hard work that we do can minimize those awkward, because if you find out something which you should have ideally known before you talk to them, how do you kind of like end it? It's really awkward. Okay, I guess it's an empowering way to end something, right? Like, it's my life, I can do what I want, goodbye, and unmatch or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's awkward. It doesn't make the other person feel good.
Especially if it's like professionals. What if you run into that person?
Yeah. Small world there, man. So yeah, so it's what we don't want to do is we're like championing mental health and relationship wellness, and we're like also creating an app that is enabling anxiety for users, and that's what we don't want. So we're gonna make sure that the app doesn't have that aspect to it, or if there is, we minimize that, because of course we can't control everything, and we will constantly learn from user feedback, and the launch of the product is not going to be the final product, but it's definitely something which is very usable and fun and exciting.
Yeah. Do you think there's been almost fatigue from all these other apps and other ways of meeting people, that people just almost need a holiday from the whole thing before they'll get into it? Because that's in my head. I'm just like, I need a break, first of all, from COVID and the house, and then you know, maybe all these other things afterwards. I can really, like, with a clear mind, go and look at it. Do you think that's something that's common, or is that just me?
Well, in terms of using these apps,
yeah, the whole thing, yeah.
I'm not really understanding your question. Are you asking that? Are you tired of using loads of apps?
Well, no. So the whole matchmaking thing, if you're going through it and, you know, you're having mom show you pictures, you know, doing meetings, then you're on apps, and then you're swiping on loads of people, and then you start a conversation, and then turns out they're a Liverpool fan, and, you know, whatever, and then this happened once, by the way. So the story time. So I think it was Mosmatch or something.
Maybe watching.
I know, but I'm not. There's no names, and it's impossible to work it out because, you know, it's going to be difficult to find that particular person. But this person lived near Marcus Rashford, and And she's like, "Oh yeah, living your martial arts."
So hey guys,
Is he trying to get back on?
no, you're still on.
What's he trying to do?
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you again.
What happened to it? I can't hear you, bro.
Hello, Hanan, are you there? Have your AirPods run out of battery? Maybe. I think his AirPods might have run out of battery, guys. Be a second. Okay, you guys in? Join call. In? Are we in? Are we back?
No. I can't hear
You can't hear me?
you. Let me just disconnect. It's fine.
Right. Shahab, can you hear me? Hanan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm just going to disconnect the AirPods. So.
Okay, no problem.
But yeah, I can't remember what you were saying.
Sahib,
Oh yeah, so
I was doing story time, wasn't I?
Definitely, man. The whole process of
can you hear me?
Yeah, just one sec. We'll try and get Sahib back in, and then we'll do story time because I think it'll be amusing.
Okay. Let me ask to get back.
We just add the guy in. Sorry about this, guys. We're not having a fun time with Skype today.
Can you see me? Hello.
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Hello.
You're back.
Good. Sorry about that, guys.
A nice bedroom, man.
What have you guys discussed since? I guess you've discussed
Wait,
a lot.
you can see your bedroom.
Oh, can you see my bedroom now? I need to... One second.
Let your cameraman quick.
We are very
doing it.
unscripted here. We're now getting house tours.
Why is my camera not? Let me see. Okay, let me see. Is it still clip? Yeah.
We can hear you. Basically, did you catch much of what we were speaking about?
Like still not. Yeah. No, can you see me now?
Yeah.
Good. Sorry about that. Yeah. See, every time I press it to make it bigger, basically it flips.
Yeah,
the
don't
camera.
bother. Then just leave it as it is.
Fine, man. We like the bedroom view.
You like? Okay, one sec. Yeah. No, I missed the part where you guys were. The last thing you guys were
And
saying.
you missed the part where you had to talk about the science.
What was I saying? Oh, the science. Okay. I can.
No. Literally, I said everything, man. Just
Are
forget
you guys live right now?
We're still live.
Oh, you're still live. Okay, perfect. What science part did you want to know?
You missed everything. Love styles, love.
We
love
spoke.
language,
Yeah, we spoke love styles.
Emotional intelligence.
Stuff.
I just had to basically read out what you told me. So on the
Oh, good.
post,
We-
yeah.
That's good. To be fair, a lot of the information we have derived from kind of papers. Hanan, what you would have regurgitated 100% right.
Yeah, literally, yeah. So, also,
just...
as professionals ourselves and science-based professionals, we want to incorporate science into everything in our lives. Unfortunately, we're weird like that. But when it comes to relationships, you should incorporate science. We feel, and there's been a big, I would say, gap in the market where there hasn't been an app that incorporates the science of relationships within that model of matching users. So that's why we did it. So it's just where Sohail did God knows hours of research and really looking into what's important in matchmaking, how behavioral psychology is important, why personality is important, why love languages, all this stuff is important when it comes to relationship harmony.
Because there's so many you cut you off. Because when you look at these things, there's actually a whole science behind it, and that's what we've both learned along the way, haven't we? Because when you're looking at relationships, we all vary with our personality traits. I'm different to Jabir, Jabir is different to Hanan. We all have these different personality traits. Now, conventionally, there's been personality tests that have been designed, and you probably see the big consulting firms use things like Myers-Briggs. Enneagram is another one, which is gaining a lot of traction. When I was in the NHS Clinical Entrepreneur Program, we actually had our personalities we had a test which profiled our personalities. Melbourne, so that was another one. But a lot of these personality tests are based on evidence base, but none of them that exist are 100% scientific. Personality is something which is so malleable and changes that you can't get completely quantifiable objective outcomes.
Yeah.
Now, the most I don't know if now we should reveal here, but the one we're using.
Yeah, I didn't mention
we didn't go over that because we didn't want people to industry spying and all that stuff to pick it up.
We are using, because Hanan's already touched on why, but the one we are using has the most robust scientific evidence behind it in terms of differentiating people. Okay, so now we know what your personality traits are. That's perfect, great. You know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you can work on. Then the problem arises is that what do you want? What personality traits do you seek? And that's a different part of the puzzle as well. Because although there's associations between what you may like, right, and someone like you may like similar characteristics, but we still do differ on a preference level, right? So we want to try and use data to help measure what associations we can make between different personality traits. And that's the kind of long-term vision we're aiming for.
I'll talk about that. Yeah.
I touched on relationship science, what makes relationships work. We looked at where people desire similar traits, what traits people do desire, like superficial traits, right? So we are very hedonistic type people. I mean, that's how humans are designed, especially in this day and age. We are kind of almost primed towards hedonistic nature. But when you actually look at things in depth, the actual things that really matter are more principles such as having caring and balanced personality traits, whereas you would think people would think of things like, attraction, even though it's very important, and things like how athletic someone is or intellect, even though they do play a part, in actual fact, seeing how balanced someone or how committed they are in loyalty, they play a much bigger part in a successful long-term relationship. So there's so much science. I mean, we don't want to bore your listeners with so much.
Bro, science is why I'm here. I was like, this is going to be interesting. What the studies, bro? But it's interesting you say that, because from a podcaster's perspective, a lot of people, and Hanan, you probably attest to this, during lockdown 1, there was loads of, this is how to do root canal, and this is how to do a note taking, and so you can look on a CBCT and do this and that. Lots and lots of clinical stuff. And I did the wrong thing in forwarding that whole narrative and doing case studies. But what people are really interested in are the deep core values of a person. What makes them tick? What makes you the person that you are now, and what is the person you want to be? What are your driving forces? I think those are the things that are, in matchmaking as well, maybe are more important than what you do.
Yes, yeah. What's your vision? What's your ambition to grow? Are you and the other person driven the same ways? Out like in terms of people's interests, right? I mean, I know Hanan likes things like painting. He likes traveling, and me and Hanan, even though we get on so well, we have different, preferences. I'm more into things like, I guess, being social. Hanan likes being social as well, but I'm obsessed with being social. And then also,
I'm tired right now, man. Went to sleep.
Like, I'm trying to go. No, this is startup life. So honestly speaking, startups aren't as glamorous as they look on the outside. It's a lot of grind. Obviously, Apple and whatever, you have polished offices. But I mean, Hanan's got his laptop. I've got my laptop. We're always just trying to work. Like right now, I was just looking at a few emails as well. So I'm back in my bedroom. But that is your grind. Startups is anytime, all the time, that go and that grind to just be ready to go.
Last night, 3 we were doing emotional intelligence.
3
a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
I had work in 4 hours after. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, he told me he had a long day in dentistry, and I was like, wow. So it's actually good this happened. It's accurate representation.
Yeah.
You're trying to make things fit because you're moving so fast in so many directions. I mean, Hanan, how much have we learned about finance, lawyers, contracts?
We're still learning. There's so much to learn. So
yeah, and I mean, I love time efficiency. So if I can be doing 2 or 3 things at once, I would love to do that. And that's why I spent a lot of my time on this new app called Clubhouse that Hanan probably told you I went
Yeah,
on.
we've been hearing about your little circles of Johnny Depps, etc.
I always send him a screenshot. Hey man, guess who was on?
Yeah, Will.i.am. He's speaking to Will.i.am, Will Smith, and God knows who.
Will.i.am is in London, and it's funny because Daniel Sturridge is in Manchester right now.
Mm.
He lives in Cheshire. So I called him out for a tennis game. So hopefully we should be playing soon. I'm gonna get.
I need to get in your
circle.
circles, bro. This is where my podcast needs to pick up its guests from.
That's amazing. I mean, I need your. You know, you've got
Yo,
good news in the back.
you can actually get onto Clubhouse for sure. I
You reckon?
With your following, yeah, for sure.
Tell me
40K
about it
followers.
afterwards, Shoaib, and we'll work out how I can get in there.
But yeah, so essentially, look, yeah, I mean, glad you're so interested in science, because I think some people who, obviously you're a dentist and Hanan, and we have scientific backgrounds, right? But we have to understand that most people don't have scientific backgrounds. So if we can distill down the level of science like you're interested in, obviously you said neuroscience and psychology as well. If we can distill this down to more of a public level where people understand, then I think we can change behavior. We can help, well, we hope we can help relationships be more successful. And that's the aim of AMELI, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very different because I do evidence-based gym. I do evidence-based. I'm trying to do evidence-based eating. All sorts of weird things, you know, like pumpkin seed. Why am I eating pumpkin seed? Oh yeah, 70 grams per 100 in pumpkin seed flour. You know, all these kinds of weird things that I'm probably into. Not that the person that I end up going for is going to need to be into those things as well, because it's kind of just if there's a study for it, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, of course. Data backs it up. Yeah, I mean, we have a pumpkin seed category now.
I did say, I don't know if you missed this, but there is going to be a red flag section, which is for my benefit only, and it's exclude Liverpool fans.
Liverpool fans.
Storage is going to be. That's fine. Am I like living in
Yeah.
That's a deal breaker for you.
Yeah, I've ghosted someone before. This is the story I was getting onto. I've ghosted someone before because they were a Liverpool fan.
Oh wow,
which was quite amusing for me as an anecdote.
I'm not incorporating that.
Who do you support? Who do you support?
United.
Yeah. Oh, okay, same. Yeah. Well, I hardly watch football. I used to watch so much.
We won today, right?
Yeah, we won today.
I don't follow them. I hardly follow sport anymore. I used to be obsessed with sport.
Yeah.
Now I just follow Clubhouse. That's what
No, I'm diehard United fan, and it's one of the reasons I started the podcast is because I ended up going on Full-Time Devils, which is now called Stretford Paddock. You know, they're killing it, 500,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh wow!
And basically, you know, when you go to a game, you can't get out because the traffic's so bad. So what I would do is, there's a camera there. Okay, I'll say some stuff. Realized I wasn't very good at saying things after I've been shouting for 90 minutes. But I would chat to the guys around, you know, and I know the guys who present, and they were like, "Yeah, it's really good. You just got to be consistent." And then I was like, "Well, I could do this for dentistry, and you know, I'll sit down, and you know, I'm not shouting beforehand, so I should be good, and I can be a bit more eloquent." But
no, that's great. How long have you been running this podcast?
3 months.
Oh, great! So, yeah, I mean, things get started. It's interesting because I was on the Tim Ferriss podcast recently, actually.
This guy name dropping, man.
That was because I'm saying because he's the one who kind of led this podcasting, apart from Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
him and Tim Ferriss have kind of led this whole revolution, right? So it was interesting to see kind of how he does it, and yeah, he likes to kind of have obviously top performers on. You're kind of grab people who are doing interesting things from the community. Yeah. What kind of guests have you had on? What kind of things are you focusing?
I started off pretty much doing, like we said, you know, case studies because people were bored and they were interested in people asking questions. Since then, I've had a doctor from London which was last week, old family friend who 2-time World Cup winner with the British medical football team that my dad set up.
Oh wow!
He's also been club doctor at I think it was Crystal Palace, and he's very well read. So we had him on and we just talked for a couple of hours. I've had Bloody Tooth guy on, who's an oral surgeon, Max Fax from America, who owns like 17 practices in New Jersey or something.
Oh, wow.
A lot, very varied. And then dental students. We've had people, you know, all the way down from dental school. Very varied, but it's more to get like interesting ideas out there or interesting personalities.
So I guess you've got a lot of eligible bachelors as well then, and bachelorettes. Your
You made
guest,
a commitment.
your guest can double up as Emily signups, Hanan, right?
Yeah, someone.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But are we the first kind of startup I'm guessing you've had on a tech
No.
startup?
I've had someone.
Oh, you've had another one.
There's a guy in
Nice.
in dentistry who's one of the Patreons actually. By the way, if you're
Nice.
watching, guys, join the Patreon group and you can help me out. Which is why I've got beautiful things like the microphone now. But yeah, this guy, he's working out of a way to make intra-office communication better within dental surgeries.
Nice.
So just because in America they work in more teams as opposed to individualistically like we do in the UK. So he's saying if someone from the other end of the building needs to come in and have a little look at something, or he needs to take over, then there'll be a little button to tap on the top of your screen, and then so and so gets a little alert, and they can come through, or just things like that. So that was interesting.
Reinventing matchmaking is a lot more fun than reinventing the office space.
Yeah,
right?
Probably a little bit.
We may not be the first tech startup, but
in the bedroom.
Yeah. It's interesting. What other podcasts have you done then, seeing as you've been on everyone's?
So I host mine out of San Diego, California. So the Body Clock podcast, pretty nerdy, just everything sleep science, stress, mental health, things like that. That's because that's the tech startup I was working for. I'm kind of role now since Emily started. So that's how I got into podcasting. And then I've been on, I don't know if you know the Health Tech podcast. Probably, I don't know if you're interested in that. By James, he's in London. James Sumru.
I've heard of it. I've not listened to it. There's not enough time in the day to listen to all of them, really. Is there?
Yeah, there's so many. Here's Tim Ferriss, Dave Asprey. He's kind of like a biohacking type dude. Longevity in America. His Poetry Tank.
Have you seen Rhonda Patrick's?
Risky Behavior. No, not Rhonda. But I like her podcast a lot.
So good.
Hers are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have similar interests then in kind of nutrition, exercise.
Right. I'm thinking, is this guy like London extra beardy guy, like version of me? Although my beard went yesterday, so we could have been literally identical.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, yeah, podcasting was interesting. I mean, it's so you learn so much with so many people, right? So yeah. A few others. I'm going on one called Risky Behavior. It's kind of this woman who works at CNBC. It's kind of more in behavioral economics.
Okay.
Because I really got into that in business school. Like I love decision-making science. Like it's my.
Oh, I remember doing that decision-making one for the maths module in A level. Oh, that was so weird. We were trying to do it self-taught because they were just like, yeah, you're clever enough, you're all in the first set, and everyone flopped it because we were like, we don't get it. No one put any of the working down, and you had to put the working down, otherwise you got marks deducted. But yeah, these things are really, really interesting because, especially if you end up, in dentistry, these are all things you can incorporate. Sleep science is linked, sleep apnea is linked to dentistry pretty heavily.
Okay. Really?
Which Joe Rogan had a guy on who I'm going to try and DM to get him on my podcast, who's talking about
cool.
a lot about orthodontics and sleep apnea, which is really interesting. A little bit more controversial in the UK. I think the Americans are way up to it.
Is that coming up from Australia? The research.
Say again?
Is that research coming up from Australia?
I don't know. There is the guy in Australia called Derek Mahoney who's smashing out, the orthotropics, they call it, which is very, very controversial in the UK. I mentioned it on a podcast with your doppelganger the other week, and he was like, I do not want to touch it. There's a good guy called Hisham Ali, orthodontist. He's actually twins. So there's bro, let me.
That's the guy, your dentist. It's the one who young dude from who goes to the gym all the time. You follow on Emily. You follow him on Emily.
Do you?
Dentist save, don't we?
Oh, is it your Dr. Kazi? Right?
Yeah.
That's yes, we follow.
This is.
Do you follow him? I think we do.
I don't know.
No.
This is Hanan's doppelganger.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
He's a good-looking guy. Smashing it. Alhamdulillah.
Oh no.
Everyone was so. I thought it was me.
Yeah.
Going to Onion Shireen, little coffee doc.
They wear the same glasses as well.
So you guys have. I guess, Hanan, what's left? What else have you touched on? I'm sorry I had to
I
leave.
think we just said everything, man. I'm kind of exhausted right
Yeah,
now.
we hit a lot of the,
the word
the
relationship.
topics.
Relationships is a pro. So I guess the startup journey, we talked about our tech team, psychology. So Lee, did you mention any of our other advisors?
No, I haven't mentioned that. No.
So just kind of, I guess, to give your listeners a bit more of a background on our branding. So because like Hanan mentioned, we are looking at health. We've got on Dr. Alia Yaqub from California. So she's someone I've known for a while. I did a podcast with her, and she's actually a brilliant, an amazing woman. She was a doctor, and she did a fellowship at Stanford, and now she advises tech startups in Silicon Valley. And me and her, we've known each other for about 3 years, and she's always been a great mentor for me. And her husband is a guy called Mamoon Hamid, who went to Harvard Business School, and he's a venture capitalist at Kleiner Perkins. So he invested in Slack, which went big.
Wow.
Obviously,
We use Slack,
right?
yeah, school,
So
not school, work.
yeah, so he's big, and investing in obviously some other big companies that aren't coming to my mind right now. One cool one right now that you'll be interested in is Future Fit app. The Future Fit app is just raised, I think, 20 million, something around that. So Rishi is the founder of that. So what that essentially is, it not shames people, but it emotionally makes you engage in exercise by having an elite coach who will text you throughout the day. Like, why did you eat that? Why have you not walked today? And it's really worked. It's worked for him, and he's obviously an investor in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Alia's connection is very important for us. Obviously, we build that partnership with, or hopefully long term, maybe Kleiner Perkins, and she's got that kind of strategy background, also being a medical professional in the past. And then our big kind of growth star would be Dr. Shah. I don't know if you've heard of him, Dr. Lee. He's a skincare dermatologist. He blew up on TikTok over lockdown.
I scrolled through your advisors and stuff,
Yeah.
but I hadn't heard of many of them previously. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so Dr. Lee is a dermatologist in America, and when lockdown happened, TikTok, obviously you probably know that TikTok blew off, right? It was so big. He kind of started TikTok then, and he got to 2 million followers within 4 months, right?
Amazing.
So his growth was kind of exponential. So we've got him on our advisory board as well. He's on Instagram as well, and he is loved by kind of a lot of the female population, right, Hanan? Which we are targeting. So a lot of girls. I remember I got a DM when I revealed this, and a girl was like, "Oh, if he's affiliated with AMELI, I'm 100% going to join," because it just strengthens the brand so much, the credibility with people like this. So yeah, it's really fun and exciting. I mean, I've loved, like, thing is, because me and Hanan get on so well. Obviously, amongst partnerships, you're always going to have differences, but Hanan has always been straight with me, which has been the best thing. Like, I couldn't imagine doing the startup with. I've got other close friends as well, but like, I think it's really important that founders have fun together, they have like-minded approaches to things, and I think we really gel. So that's really helped, I would say, from my perspective. Like, I really,
I take the leaf from Jeremy Corbyn for being fair and honest. Yeah, so it's always important, man. Yeah, it's been good. So also, if any people who are watching right now, I think I don't know how people are watching. Definitely spread the word about AMELI.
Yeah, please.
Looking for love, looking for that long term, but
have you signed up, Jabir?
No, I need to do it. I'm.
He said he needs to. We need to prompt him now. Call to action. Jabir, if you're interviewing us, you need to act as
Jabir.
You need to believe in the concept.
Yeah.
Believe in us.
No, I believe in you guys. I'm just trying to keep my mom off my back, so I was like, I don't want to show that I'm too interested or anything.
Funny.
You know, it's all a bit of psychology. You know, I'm looking, but I'm not. Mom needs to look for me looking. So
what you touch upon is a very interesting thing. I do the same thing. What we do is interesting because we always try and play cool and we pretend like we're not looking for anyone. I remember Hanan and I have discussed this as well, and it's interesting because when people sign up, I think sometimes the barrier is that, oh, we might not say Ibn Hanan or whatever, but the thing is, signed up. We've got a female-led team who's verifying users. So I'd like to, Hanan, you would agree, right? I want to reiterate that we are kind of staying separate from the kind of sign-up process side of things.
I was going to ask Hanan, do you have a special I'm a founder profile?
No, I'm actually not going to be on it. Yeah. So you basically want to make what? So hey, I'm not sure what Save is going to be, but I'm definitely not going to be on it. You want to basically make sure that we are separate from the app entirely. Like right now, fine, our faces are on the app. We're promoting it through us as individuals, but we feel like us as a brand, as a as a team, not just me and Sahib, as in like Saliha, Dr. Lee, Yakub, all of us as a brand, as a unit, offer legitimacy and trust to the community. But long term, we don't want to be associated with it as such as the ones behind everything. Fine, yeah, we developed it, but
there's more going on than just you two, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like it's a bit weird. I've heard stories of founders, people who own current apps, which are competitors, literally message girls on their own app. So
that's the safety issue that you'd maybe talking about, or the whatever.
So yeah, that's never going to happen from us, from me especially. So hey, I'm joking. Hey, I'm joking. It's not going to happen. Yeah, we're entirely separate. We're all from the back end, nothing from the front end. It's all like.
I mean, we can say Hanan literally sits there. He's obsessed with design. He's sending me so many design images all the time. I'm obsessed equally with kind of the marketing product side of things in terms of, hey Hanan, this came out, this is happening, Silicon Valley.
And that's what's being beautiful because he also has connections. He loves to talk, right?
Yeah, I do.
And I hate to talk. I don't like having a relationship with investors and stuff. That's sorted. So that's been useful. Yeah, we all offer different things to that. It's been a really good collaboration together, really.
Yeah, we'll let Hanan kind of rest his voice because he's getting a little tired. So, hey, how is the marketing side of things? Because I'm very interested in this kind of stuff. I've done a couple of promos for one of my friends' companies. Actually doing like a videography, like little sequences and stuff, and we're working on backing in Facebook. Getting ads out there, trying to do it. Obviously, you've seen that I can do stuff on Instagram as well to get growth and stuff. Although it's kind of.
Hanan was telling me your following obviously is quite large. I obviously just met you recently, didn't you?
Today.
Today, yeah. But Hanan shared your profile earlier,
right?
For I think a week ago or so. And yes, amazing. So how have you? Before I go into it, you tell me what you've done in terms of how have you grown yours so far.
Mine,
his face.
Yeah, like this. Can I have 12 bottles of bleach, please? All of that. No. I actually wasn't on the page until probably 18 months down in. It was purely I'm going travel. So the story was I failed finals, which was really fun, and then passed in the November, which meant that there's 9 months, 10 months of a gap between foundation year starting. And me and my cousin, a lot of our friends in uni were really into the gym. We'd seen lots and lots of these feature pages for people doing lifts or posing and stuff like that. And we were like, well, I was like, why is there nothing like this for dentists? And I kind of like the idea of humans in New York, so I went with that. Okay, let's try and marry the two up, try and get people's stories out there. It has been difficult actually having people actually put their stories out there because in a professional environment, dentists are very much like, yes, this is where I work and come and see me if you want veneers. And I can't have 2,000 people saying, come and see me for veneers and orthodontics and stuff like that. That has been something to break through. But I try and reply to pretty much every single one of the DMs I've got, which must be around 10,000 over the last 3 years or something.
10,000.
I reckon for every feature that's been up, there's been 5 conversations or 6 conversations. Yeah.
But then they reply and you have to reply back. And how do you finish that's insane.
I have short keys for, do you want to, if someone wants a feature, go hi. If someone says hi, instantly they go, hi, what's up? Do you want a feature? This is what you need to do. And then if they've got further questions, I'll interrogate them or, find out what's what. But yeah, so then I did that and then it started off pretty slow. And then my friend calls me. Do you remember my friend Ed, Hanan? Big tall white guy from uni. Always hanging around in all my pictures. You probably remember for
Hanan, how have you forgotten your ex course mate?
Bro, honestly, after I left Newcastle, and moved to London. I'm like London life only. So sorry.
But this guy, he's working in Dubai as a teacher, and he rings me up and goes, I know you're not doing anything. I'm going on holiday to Sri Lanka. You want to come? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm not doing anything. So I went. And I've got family in the Middle East, Kuwait. So I went to Kuwait. And actually, there was a guy that I had connected with who's like, okay, come visit my clinic. And he just showed me around. His patient didn't turn up. So we went for a coffee, chatted for 3-4 hours. And I was like, this is cool. I was like, where else do I know people from this app? And I was like, well, there's like 6 people I've kind of contacted with recently from Australia. So I was like, okay, off I go. And I booked the ticket pretty much on the day. I went to Australia, spent 4 weeks there, met some people from uni who moved there, met some people that I connected with. I was supposed to shadow a consultant in endodontics, but he was on holiday on the week that I was there. But just got the connections going, and then it's kind of grown from there. Obviously, during lockdown, I think the following tripled. So,
wow, that's so good.
It's insane.
So obviously, you put your work in, and you've thought strategically.
Yeah, and then.
So I would say, with marketing, obviously it plays a lot on psychology, doesn't it? So obviously, essentially, a lot of marketing works with big budgets. Right? We see these big startups and corporates and growth stage companies. They just put a lot of money into things like Google Analytics, Google adverts, Facebook advertising. Facebook's actually probably the biggest platform for advertising.
Yeah, huge.
Instagram ads. You throw money at it. But when you are a startup and you're kind of bootstrapping or you're kind of low on cash, I guess a lot of it is the design element and setting the brand, which Hanan has already done a lot of, right? So once you set that right, luckily I've always been quite social. So I did kind of utilize a lot of my connections and friends I've had. I've always tried to, I love like meeting people and keeping friends. So a lot of my sometimes influencers on Instagram, and they post about things. So I'm really grateful. They were really helpful in terms of being like, hey, this is a great idea. We would love to post. So what we did essentially was when we launched, we had everything in place. We did a mass campaign of people just sharing Emily on their story. I don't know if you saw it.
I think I shared it, didn't I?
You were part of it. So you're one of our close and trusted networks. So obviously, so me and I asked our close network. So I think we got about 52 people, if I'm correct, 52 people shared within 5 days, which is quite a lot. And a lot of these people were like yourself, doctors and dentists. So the word got out in that community specifically. And then we got people like Halal Girl in New York, a Pakistani Bride, a little coffee dog who are pretty well known in London and New York to share as well as some kind of more fashion influencers. So that mass campaign, what I would say, what it did was when you kept seeing something posted over and over again, people, you see it once, you may skip
7 times. You have to see something before your buying intent is kind of triggered.
Yeah, your stuff. Yeah, that's exactly that.
I've spent
really well,
years. Like last 3 years, I've been looking at psychology of buying, how to advertise, all these things, how to set up a video, put the hook first, then play the rest of the video.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's the exact strategy. So when people saw it, more people started asking, I've seen it about 5 times in one day. What is Emily, right? And then they would follow the page, be curious. And then when you see people, like, so a lot of people probably, because I know a lot of people, but they don't know I know those people. So some people are like, Dr. Selena too, Dr. whatever as well. Oh, we didn't know you were close to them. Because they were like, hey, my friend Sahib or Hanan is doing this, right? So people were kind of, our community was kind of intermingling, like, oh, they know that person, but they also know that person. So it kind of spread the network effects, you could call it. And we didn't put any kind of money behind it at all. It was all organic. So we got about 500 signups in 5 days. And then from there, a lot of it has just been kind of anyone who we talk to, we kind of send a bit of a summary, tell them about it. We get kind of a lot of messages. And we've just been trying to lead with content at the moment. So the marketing is to do with what the knowledge we're sharing, how are we different, how are we unique, why are we different from the existing platforms. And Saliha, I think, has been a big part of it. Saliha is someone who is really good on camera. Knows her stuff. She's very likable. She knows her stuff. And that really helps. She has like a 50-60. Dr. Shah, he's very willing to be more involved. He's got 150K on Instagram, 2 million TikTok. Alia's got about 100K on Instagram. 3 people on the advisory board who have a massive reach. So they will be really important to us. But going forward, as soon as we get the visuals and product out, we will look towards marketing strategies which are showcasing more of the product, and hopefully that should help kind of accelerate things. But we will. So anyone listening to this, I will take the opportunity. If you are someone interested in helping or influencing, we're always looking for people to content create or be influencers for us. So marketing strategy nowadays, we are utilizing video, audio, music, mix of things.
By the way, guys, if you're watching, take a little photograph of the whole thing or a screenshot, post it on your Instagram story, tag AMELI, tag myself, tag Dennis of Insta, tag Hot Pot Podcast, and I'm sharing everything on my story. So the only way you get shares on my stories now is actually tagging the podcast. Little secret there to actually get shared on my story.
I might start showing it to them.
I have to share it. Will you share me if I share
Yeah,
it?
bro. That's how it works now.
Mutual.
Sharing is caring. Man.
Yeah.
He's playing psychology on me.
Yeah. So I've gone with the gorilla to kind of.
No, add the exclusive element to it. He'll be on it.
I'll be
Exclusive.
anything exclusive, yeah. I know jokes about this. Add anything exclusive or optimization, and I'm hooked. There are 2 words. Anyone listening, if you want me to sign up to something, use the words exclusive and optimization.
So also sign up to the exclusive Patreon
I'm
group,
over that
guys,
word.
which is
Yeah, it's
optimization
exclusive.
for the podcast.
Optimized. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, Javier, it'd be interesting because I run the Human Behavior Club on Clubhouse, and we talk about all the wellness, health, tech, computer science, neuroscience, VC, startups, decision-making science. And that's grown to like nearly 1,000 members now.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, this guy is a big guy. All right, Javier.
Yeah.
I'm a
no,
You can see his arms as well. Bro.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I have guests who are luckily some of the people like we don't meet in the UK. I just love California. Like Hanan always says, bro.
He's never been, by the way.
I've never been, but
I've been more than him, and I don't like it.
I love it virtually, remotely.
You just like sitting in traffic jams?
Wake up.
Was it like?
But yeah, I definitely need to go. SF, Hanan. If Emily goes well, we should move to SF.
Yeah. I can't pay rent, man. There, I'm sorry. I'm already paying extortionate rent in London.
Yeah.
I'm over that.
Over that life.
Work from home.
Yeah, so I mean, you've kind of gone with the guerrilla tactics almost in a way, forcing or not forcing the shares, enticing the shares. A lot of the content you've got is informational, getting an idea out there, of something that none of these other things, other apps are doing. They're doing all kinds of kind of flashy, but doesn't really mean anything kind of things.
Literally, yeah.
Whereas you've got some real content.
I think what's one of being the biggest things when we are thinking about the social media aspect, a lot of obviously the way people either grow is through paid advertising or through organic growth, which people resonate with. So in terms of the EMELI page, we obviously at the beginning we had a big marketing campaign, which we didn't pay for it. It's just all through Sohaib's network of crazy people all over the world. But since then, it's all been like Sohaib said, has been organic growth through creating content that is useful or resonates with the
and shareable. That's one of the big things that I try and tell my clients. If you need to put something that people want to either look at, that they're going to get a lot of screen time on, that you're going to want to share to someone. Like, I mean, it's
like the algorithm now is actually about savability. So when someone saves the content or the post, that is
likes don't matter anymore.
That is what boosts it up to the explore page. And then obviously now with Reels, like TikTok, the competitor to TikTok, Instagram Reels is what's getting out there. But realistically, it doesn't really
fit with our
with ours. I'll say my brand aesthetic because I'm like obsessed with like aesthetics and stuff. That's fine. Yeah. And but say to understand like the algorithm
because you have to optimize for both.
Instagram.
Because the algorithmic world we live in.
Yeah, and we have to follow the algorithm ultimately.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, no, but it ruins the aesthetic. He's like, no, forget the aesthetic, man.
Hanan will be like, we'll make a reel, and I'll be like, it's engaging, but it doesn't look perfect. It doesn't.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to design, so it needs to look a certain way, right? And
do you know what to do? At the end of your reel, put your little AMELI logo, whatever you want, and use that as your cover.
That's how we agreed to it.
Don't worry about it. I got that.
Because look, TikTok has gone big because it's low quality, obviously, but it's engaging, 15-second short attention spans, uses a combination of your senses, quick and over, and that's the kind of society we live in, right? So you have to be able to engage people within the first 3 seconds.
Yeah.
If you don't, bye-bye. Next person.
This podcast is my pushback against the short attention span kind of community and lifestyle we have.
Joe Rogan, you can use Joe Rogan as your. I mean, Joe Rogan people.
Bro, I did a 24-hour podcast, so you guys aren't getting anywhere near.
24 hours.
Amazing.
How do you do that?
24 hours. How much did you pay? £3,000?
£1.5. I had 3 teas.
Wow.
3 or 4 teas.
But he raised. It was all for
4.5K for RCF. Yeah. I'm doing it again next year. So
we're doing it again. Wow. So you've become quite a podcast marathon endurance athlete.
Do you know what it is?
I think I've become someone who likes his voice as much as Sohaib.
Do you know what it is? Hanan can probably attest to this. Back in uni, I wasn't a talkative person. Not really. And I was like, well,
Maybe you just didn't
I
talk
want to
Hanan.
break. You know, so my kind of mindset is that there was one point in school. I went to a rugby training once, and then one of the guys in school, he goes, "Why are you here? You're not good enough." So my whole idea was, okay, now I'm gonna start to go into the gym. I'm gonna start, running as quick as I can.
Oh, wow.
Like, and by 3 weeks, I was in the first team. I was like, I'll show you that sort
When
of
you
thing.
winger?
Yeah, I was a
When you-
center and a winger.
Yeah. I remember
I played
that, yeah.
flanker
Oh,
actually
the
a couple of
rugby
times,
team.
but it's that thing,
Oh, wow.
you tell me you can't do something, I'm gonna do the most extreme thing to show myself that I can. So, I'm not very good at speaking. Podcast it is.
Bro, I bet you can't go bald.
Say again?
What did you say?
I bet you can't go bald.
I am.
That's the next.
Trust me, man. I know a solution. Trust me. This is natural.
Turkey.
Yeah. No, not turkey. No. I'll tell you a secret offline. I can't share it.
I'll send you my hair TikTok. Hair
Yeah.
optimization.
Yeah.
Hair optimization.
Exclusive.
Yeah. So, okay, so you seem to like love taking on challenges.
Yeah, I think that's probably my personality trait. I have to do something extreme all the time. I in the sky, or I'm bored.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right, man.
like-
It's getting here.
Hanan is
You guys can
falling
talk.
off.
Hanan is sleepy.
Yeah. It's past my bedtime. It has been really, really good speaking to you, man.
Yeah,
It's
always
been
great.
good to get what's in our heads onto
No
the
doubt.
wider audience. But I hope you understand a bit more about us, about our team, about the app itself. It's really, really exciting, actually, honestly. Can't wait to share the visuals, hopefully, inshallah, the next few
Yeah.
weeks. Obviously, the brains behind the science has been Sahib. It's been very useful. Really lucky to have him on board and working with the team. So, yeah, just if anyone's watching, give us a follow on Instagram, even if you
It's
don't want to find a like
AMELI.uk, isn't it, on Instagram?
.uk. It's not just for UK people, by the way. It's
international.
worldwide. We couldn't buy the AMELI.co yet. We're set up with. We haven't got the funding for that yet. But yeah, it's launching worldwide, inshallah, in areas that have the highest
Identity.
demand. And if you need a invite code, so you know Jabir personally, drop him a message and we'll create an invite code for him.
Sweet.
So you can
Special
get jumped up.
invite code for Jabir's fans.
Yeah, and we can get you bumped up the waiting list.
All two of them, eh?
Yeah, call it Jabir Rogan. Hanan, that's what we'll call it. Jabir Rogan.
JRE.
No, but thanks, Jabir. It's been awesome talking to you. Thanks for having us on. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. I was going to let Hanan just do the whole thing. I've just done too many lives recently.
Yeah.
And I'm so like powered out now.
Yeah.
But Hanan was like, "Yeah, please come on for at least 15 minutes." And actually, I'm so glad I came on. I mean, you had an awesome person. I'm sure you're going to aggregate so many listeners.
Yeah.
and
Thank you, guys.
I'm so happy to connect with you as well. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, please sign up to AMELI. Hopefully we can reinvent matchmaking.
So that's these are the guys from AMELI. So Dr. Sahib Imtiaz. I'm keep on saying that because I know a couple of Shoaibs and it's Sahib. Sahib Imtiaz and Hanan, Imran, BDS, MFDS, FRC, whatever.
Just don't forget that Eastman.
World's best dentist. That's what I call him. World's best dentist.
So you guys can, everyone who's watching can see your Instagram handles. So follow the guys if you want as well. It's ameli.uk on Instagram. And apparently I'm getting some invite codes, which you guys can also hit me up for. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by 2021. We are touch and go with that. Also check out the Patreon group, which is exclusive and revolutionary. And what's the other word? Transformative, all that sort of thing.
Optimized.
It's optimized. Optimized. It's from
Optimized life. That's the goal, right?
And you can help me out with the running of the podcast and help me, keep it going and stuff like that. So check that out, guys. You get a few perks as well. Been an absolute pleasure to speak to the guys. Make sure to come again tomorrow. I think we've got another guest. I think it is the Perio artist, Jess Latimer from Boston, United States. We're going to talk a whole load of stuff there. So make sure to join us. Should be good fun. Thank you again. And we'll see you guys next time.